Hey guys, so this is not a coffee chat, even though I do have some coffee in my NASA mug that my mom got me. Thanks, Mom. Thank you for my Christmas present. I love it. So I do have some coffee in here, but this is not a coffee chat. That is some good coffee though. All right, so I made notes so that I will know exactly what all I'm trying to say in this video. Anyway, so I've recently felt like reading, and I know when I was a little girl, I used to read all the time. Like, I would go home for the summer and I would have a list of books and I would go through them really quickly. Spent a lot of time in the library in my small town, and I just love to read. And I haven't really had a chance to read a lot lately, and I kind of miss it. Occasionally, I'll get into a reading mood and I'll start just binge reading, and then I kind of burn myself out. So I'm trying not to binge read, but that may be what this all turns into. So I've also been watching some booktubers on YouTube. If you don't know what booktubers are, basically they read books and they review them or talk about them at least. It's a good way to find like book recommendations and stuff. So what I'm trying to get at is that I want to read more, and maybe doing a video about, or videos, not just one video, but videos every month about books. Maybe that will make me want to read more. Hopefully, I don't know, we'll see. But I'm going to try to do that. So the plan is to try to read 5 or 6 books per month. I'm pretty sure it's doable. And I actually have a list of different types of books that I want to read each month, and I will get into that a little further into the video. So this is going to be kind of a TBR video, which is to be read. So that's where I go over the list of the books that I want to read this month. So I'm going to do that toward the end of the video, but first I'm going to talk about some of the books that I read in February, because of course I can't talk about the books that I'm going to read without talking about some of the ones that I have read recently. Since I didn't do a TBR list for February, I'll just kind of go over some of the things that I remember reading. Now, you guys have seen me talk about books occasionally, and you've seen me talk about movies and things like that, and I'm not a good reviewer. I'm not good at reviewing things. I'm basically like Andy Bernard in The Office. I'm not good at reviewing things, so these are not going to be like good reviews. I'm not succinct. I have a hard time describing things sometimes, like how I feel about things. It's just me. That's just how I am. Yeah, get used to it. But I'm going to try my best, and I'm probably going to spoil some books for you. So don't worry if there are books in this that you want to read for yourself. Just tune me out for a little while. That's all you have to do. I'll try not to spoil the endings of books if I can help it. But if it's something that I think is kind of dumb, I'm probably going to spoil it. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at is these are not going to be great reviews, and that's just the way it's going to be. But I'm going to try to tell you a little something about each of the books. So there were 3 books that I read in February. Technically, one of them I finished in March, like a couple of days ago, but I'm going to count it as February one because it was a really quick read, and basically most of it was in February. So 2 of them were Agatha Christie books. I read 2 Agatha Christie books in the month of February. Technically, the first one I started in January, I believe, but I finished it in February. So we're just going to throw them all in there together because I don't know what I'm doing. This is going well. So the first one that I read was Cards on the Table. Now, Cards on the Table was not my favorite of the 2. It was really convoluted to me because a lot of it dealt with bridge. I've never played bridge. I'm not big into card games. I can play poker. I can play like blackjack, go fish, old maid, stuff like that. But yeah, I've never played bridge. I don't know how to play bridge. It's just not something that is in my vocabulary. So since the mystery kind of had something to do with bridge, I was a little bit not into it, I guess. So anyway, Cards on the Table is a Poirot novel. Of course, Hercule Poirot is one of Agatha Christie's most famous detectives that she writes about. And I really hate saying the word Poirot because it just sounds really weird to me. But that's what you get when you have a Belgian detective. So anyway, this is a Poirot novel. And also it has a couple of other detectives from her other books, because it has Ariadne Oliver, it has Inspector Battle, and it has Colonel Race. All 4 of those people are invited to a party. And also invited to the party are 4 people who are possible murderers. And they play bridge at this party, but they're separated into 2 rooms. So you have your detectives, you have your murderers. Your detectives are in one room playing bridge, your murderers are in a different room playing bridge, and the host of the party is in the room with the murderers, and he gets murdered. So, it probably was not a good idea for him to be in that room. I don't know why he was there, but he was. And that was a dumb thing. So anyway, he gets murdered. And then they have to figure out which one of those 4 possible murderers murdered the guy. So that's basically the book. So you have each of the detectives going around to each of the suspects and asking them questions and everything. And you have to try to figure out who the murderer is. I did not figure out who the murderer is, as per usual with Christie books. I'm not very good at solving mysteries when it comes to her. But one of the clues is like the scraps of paper that they wrote all of the bridge like moves on, and supposedly you could look at that and it would kind of help you figure out who the killer was. But I don't play bridge, so not very helpful. So anyway, yeah, I couldn't figure it out. But it's okay because Poirot figures it out and, he solves it. Oh, spoiler, oh my gosh. So yeah, of course he figures it out. It's Poirot. I mean, what would be the point of the book if he didn't figure it out? So yeah, it was not my favorite, mainly because of the whole bridge aspect, and I know nothing about bridge. Plus the end was just really weird. She has this habit, I don't really like Agatha Christie's habit of killing off the killers at the end, instead of like making them go to jail or something. There are so many of her books where the killer ends up committing suicide, or dies, gets murdered themselves or something, and it's just really weird. And it seems like none of them actually go to jail. Or it's like, oh yeah, she killed this person, but she has a disease that's fatal and she's about to die in like a month. So we'll just let her get away with it. So I don't really like the way she ends her books sometimes. Let's just put it that way. But I'm trying to read through all of them, so you take what you got. So the other Agatha Christie book that I read was a little bit better. I enjoyed it a little more. It didn't take me as long to read either because there wasn't so much stuff about bridge in there. All of it was pretty easy to read, and it was called Dumb Witness. It's also called Poirot Loses a Client in America, but the original title of it was Dumb Witness, which makes no sense. So let me explain. There's a dog in the book, and the dog is supposed to be the dumb witness, but the dog never actually witnesses anything. So why did you name this book this? So let me backtrack a little bit. The premise of this is that Poirot gets a letter from a potential client, and it's an older lady, and she has sent him this message. It's kind of vaguely talking about how she's suspicious about someone, but she doesn't really go into detail, so you don't know what she's talking about. And Poirot doesn't know what she's talking about, but he notices the date on the letter is like from 2 months before, and he's just now getting this letter. So he goes to check it out. The woman is dead. You find out that she died like 2 months ago or whatever. Not too long after she wrote the letter. But she didn't send the letter. It was found in her belongings when they were cleaning out some of her stuff, and her maid or whatever saw it and decided to go ahead and send it. And so that's how he got the letter. But anyway, she's dead. She's died from some like disease of the liver. And Poirot comes in and he's just kind of investigating. He's looking around just to make sure that there's no like foul play or whatever. And he sees something that makes him suspicious, and he decides that this lady has been murdered, or at least there was some kind of attempt on her life that she had mentioned in the letter. So he's trying to figure out who the person was that tried to murder her, and to find out if they actually succeeded in a different way. Spoiler, she was murdered, but you don't find that out until the end, or closer to the end. But yes, it was a murder, and it's probably a good thing that he was investigating, or they never would have figured it out. Of course, there are lots of red herrings and everything, but there was one clue that tipped me off, and I actually caught a clue this time. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And I figured out who the murderer was this time, and I was very happy for myself. I was like, I think it's this person, but I'm not sure, so I'm not gonna say, but yes, it was. I was correct. So there was one clue that really got me, and I was like, I think I see what you're doing here. So maybe that means I'm getting better at these. I don't know. Probably not. But yeah, the problem to me was the title. Everything else was okay. But the title, Dumb Witness, makes no sense because there is a dog in the book. The dog's name is Bob. When the attempted murder happens that he is trying to investigate, the dog is outside. The dog sees nothing. He's not a witness. Later, when the old lady does die, is murdered, it doesn't really tell if the dog is there or not, but if he was, there's no way for the dog to have known who the murderer was. You have to read it to figure out why. And then the other possible murder happens in a different town, so the dog's not there. Why is it called Dumb Witness? Getting way too irrationally mad about this whole title thing. Anyway, it doesn't make any sense. The title doesn't make any sense, but the book is good. I liked it. It's not my favorite one of her books, but I did enjoy it a lot. I liked it a lot more than Cards on the Table. All right, but let's get away from Agatha Christie for a minute because I have one other book that I read in February or January, whenever, and it was called No Judgments by Meg Cabot. Now, I've read several of Meg Cabot's books. She's the one who wrote The Princess Diaries. So when The Princess Diaries came out on in the movie theaters and on DVD and everything, I watched the movie. I liked the movie. I read the books. I read the whole series of books. She had several other series. I read all of those, or pretty much all of those, all of the ones that I could get my hands on. So I'm a big fan of Meg Cabot. Well, I say a big fan. I'm a fan of Meg Cabot, let's just put it that way. So I found her new book at the public library, and I picked it up, and I read that one. So, No Judgments, that's the name of it. Anyway, this book is about a girl who has recently moved to the Florida Keys. She's kind of trying to get away from her family and some other things from her past, and she is there when there's a hurricane coming. So there's like a category 4 or whatever hurricane that is about to hit the Keys, and it is coming directly for the island that she's on, and they've been told to evacuate, but she doesn't want to evacuate. There are people that are still staying on the island, and she doesn't want to evacuate because she has adopted this cat from the shelter, and his name is Gary, and Gary has some kind of problem where he has to have his medicine and everything. She can't leave the island without Gary. She doesn't want to leave him there. And she can't take Gary with her because Gary does not do well in cars. Plus, she kind of just wants to stay there because she kind of has this, she wants to prove to herself and to her family that she can do things on her own, basically. So she wants to stay there in the middle of a hurricane, which doesn't make sense, but whatever. So she stays, it hits the island, but it's not that bad, except that the bridge that connects the island to the mainland is completely gone. So she has to go around with this guy that she kind of likes, but she's trying to not like because he's like the bad boy. So she's going around with this guy to all of these places, all of these like apartments and houses and everything where the people who have left their animals, and she's going to take care of all the animals and stuff. But yeah, it's basically her and the guy kind of getting to know each other and going around and rescuing animals. So that sounds about right up my alley. So that one is really fun. It's lighthearted, and I'm pretty sure that it's the first one in a series that she's working on. I don't know when the next one's going to come out, but I'm pretty sure that she's got a novella that kind of goes along with it and probably has some of the characters. And I don't know if they have it at the library, but if they do, I guess I will pick it up. But yeah, I'm looking forward to more in that. I think the next one in the series is going to be about the sheriff. I think he's going to be the main character, the main guy, and I'm not sure who the girl is. But yeah, that's the other book that I read. And if you like lighthearted kind of romance stuff, then I guess I would recommend it. It was pretty good. But that's it. Those were the books that I read in January/February, whatever, the beginning of the year before March started. Those were the 3 books that I read. Not a lot, like I said. And that's why I want to try to do 6 books per month. And I have some categories kind of to go along with it. So the first thing is I want to do a new book. There's a new books section at my local library, and there's also a quick picks section at my local library. Those are all new books. The quick pick ones, you have to read them within like a week, and I don't have time for that right now. So I'm going to stick with just a regular new book, but one of those 2 can kind of be put into that category. I have something called Kindle Unlimited where you pay like $10 a month or whatever, and there's like a whole list. There are lots and lots of books that you can choose from. Most of them aren't that great, but occasionally you can find a real gem in there. So I have Kindle Unlimited, and when I first got it, I used it a lot. And then I just kind of stopped because I just kind of stopped reading, and I wasn't really into it. And I'm still paying for it, so I need to use it. So we're going to do one Kindle Unlimited book, at least one. Some of these others can actually be in Kindle Unlimited, but I definitely need to do one of those. I have stuff in my bookshelf already there, so I'm going to try to start with those. Also, I want to do one Agatha Christie book, of course, because I'm trying to get through the whole Agatha Christie thing, her whole list of books. So one Agatha Christie book. one book for my own bookshelf, because I've got my bookshelves back there and I have a lot of books on there that I have never read. So I want to read one of those. I want to try to get through those books that I haven't read. So one book for my own bookshelf that I've never read. And I'm also going to try to do a reread. So one book that I've read before and I want to read again. And finally, the sixth book will be one recommended book. So that can be a book that was recommended to me like in real life by one of my friends or in a video that I've seen. I've got a whole list of recommended books for me. And also, you guys can contribute if you want to. If you would like to recommend a book for me to read, then let me know and I will put those on the list also. And yeah, so those are the things that I want. Those are the 6 categories, I guess I should say. So yeah, 6 books in 1 month should be doable. So what I've done is I've already picked out the 6 books for this month. So I'm going to go through them real quick and show you guys what I'm going to be reading. So yeah, this is my to be read list. So for the new book this month, I picked up In 5 Years by Rebecca Searle, and this is I've never read any of her books before. I just saw this one and I thought, look, it looks really short. I think I can get through this because I'm already starting a little bit late in the month. So yeah. But this is about a girl who has I think she just gets a promotion and she just gets engaged, and then she wakes up the next morning and it's 5 years later. And you have to figure out what has happened in the 5 years leading up to this. And yeah, it sounded kind of interesting, so I'm gonna give it a shot. So the Kindle Unlimited book that I have chosen for this month is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. I'm not exactly sure how you say her name, but it is about a girl named Eliza who is, I think she's like a senior in high school or something, and she has a webcomic online and it's very popular. And she kind of lives her life online, basically. And then she meets a guy in the real world and starts to fall for him. And then her secret gets out that she is the creator of this webcomic. And things go from there. So I don't really know exactly, what's going on in it. But there we go. That's basically the premise of it. So Eliza and Her Monsters is my recommended book for the month. I think I said that it was my Kindle Unlimited book, but it's not. My Kindle Unlimited book is, it's technically like 5 novellas all together, and it's called Debonair Dukes. It's 5 stories in a box set. I'm just going to read the whole box set because I've already read through some of them and there's not really a lot to it. So I'm just going to read all of those as like one book, and that shouldn't take me very long because I'm about halfway done with it. So yeah, there's that. Okay, so my Agatha Christie book that I have is, for this month, Death on the Nile, which is right here. Death on the Nile, yay! So this one I've actually already started reading. I'm like 3 chapters into this one already, so yeah, hasn't really gotten started too much, but it already is pretty intriguing, so I think I'm going to like this one a lot. So I'm not exactly sure what Death on the Nile is about, but I am assuming that there's going to be a death on the Nile. They're already like in Egypt right now, and it is another Poirot one, so I think I probably can guess who is going to be killed. I don't know yet, but I have my guess, and I think I can probably guess who the killer is. I have somebody in mind already. And the girl's not even dead yet, so we'll see. We'll see. So the one book from my bookshelf that I've never read before, I'm going to read Round Ireland with a Fridge, which I have heard about from, I think it was on like a John Green video. I think he has talked about this book before. It is by Tony Hawks, not Tony Hawk the skateboarder. It was really hard to find this because every time I tried to find Tony Hawks, it would show up with Tony Hawk, and I'm like, that's not, no, that's not what I want. So yeah, this is Round Island with a Fridge. It is about a guy who is hitchhiking around all of Ireland with a fridge in 1 month. I don't really know. I've heard that it's funny though, so let's hope that it's fun. Yeah. And my reread for the month is going to be Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, although I will not be using this copy. This is my hardback copy that I usually have back there. You can see there's an empty little spot right there. So that goes right there. But this is not the version I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using a version on Kindle Unlimited because they have a version on there. Yeah, so it's an illustrated edition and it has something called Kindle in Motion. So when you look at the illustrations, they move a little bit. So it's kind of like you are in the world of Harry Potter where the portraits move and stuff. So I thought it looked really cool and I'm going to read that version of it. And I'm not just going to be rereading that, I'm going to be reading it aloud to Mark because Mark has never read the Harry Potter books and he's only seen the first Harry Potter movie. So I'm going to read the Harry Potter books to him aloud. And yeah, so that is what we're going to do. And hopefully that will go well. We'll see. But that is the book that I'm going to be rereading. Surely pretty much everybody knows what Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is about a little boy who finds out that he's a wizard, and he goes to a wizarding school. And he meets friends, and there's a bad guy who is after him. So there you go. That's about as condensed as I can make it. But yeah, there you go. That is it. Those are the 6 books that I plan on reading this month. Hopefully I can get through them all. We'll see. I mean, I do still have over half a month left. You never know. If you have any recommendations for books for months to come, then let me know. And who knows, if I get through these 6 books and I need something else to finish off the month, I might pick from those recommendations. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to go. But I will be back in April, at the beginning of April, to tell you guys all about these books that I have read and tell you what I will be reading in April. So yeah, hopefully this will go okay and it will give me something monthly to do. If it doesn't go well, then I can stop. I can stop anytime I want, okay? So yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys next time.